Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 41 of Direwolf20's Let's Play of Stoneblock3, where today I'm going to be working on these guys, but what I wanted to do real quick is add one more bit of automation to the altar, super fast, only because it occurs to me that there is one flaw with the altar design as it was so far. Eventually, if we are constantly piping ethereal slates out of this thing, we will run out of LP, because here's the deal, right? When we don't have back stuffing here, right? When we don't have the 8 ethereal slates in the chest that we need, the blood altar will eventually just keep making slates, and it'll never place the blood orb in there to recharge enough LP to keep the ritual running. And then if the ritual stops running, we completely run out of LP, and then we're done, right? So that's a problem. So let's solve that real quick using a couple components. So first off, if we read the Sanguine Scientium, we'll find that the amount of life essence in the blood altar can be read by a comparator on the side, similar to a vanilla chest. However, if you place a bloodstone brick under the altar, the comparator will instead read the value of the soul network of the owner of any orb that is placed into the altar. The signal strength depends on the size of the orb of the altar, not the maximum LP of the network. So, for example, if you have 500 LP, 500,000 LP, a weak blood orb would show as completely full, but a massive blood orb would only show as half full. So the gist is, if you place a large bloodstone brick under, or not a large, but a bloodstone brick underneath the altar, and then place a blood orb in it that's bound to your player, like this, for example. So see, no power coming out. This is bound to Direwolf20. Pat it in there, now power 5, and he's emitting a redstone signal, which is turning off this lever. So in other words, what I have now is a way to detect if we're below 1/16th of the amount of power in there, right? Or 1/15th, or whatever that is, right? So when this runs out of power, we would have the redstone signal turn on. Now, in addition to that, on the black redstone channel, this one, if we give him a redstone signal, it'll complete its current craft, but then it'll stop trying to craft new ones and throw the Archmage blood orb back in there. And the reason for that is the black channel is the one that says, hey, I have everything I need. So it'll either sense that it has all the items it needs, or if we manually turn on the black channel, it'll trick it into thinking it has everything it needs and go back to filling up the blood orb. So if we turn this off, you'll notice that it goes back to crafting once the thing fills up, okay? And it'll craft until we get enough ethereal slates. So what I'm going to do is very simply add a redstone card here, and we'll have input on the black channel, and then boom, okay? So watch what happens. If we're currently crafting, right, and we've got our ethereal slate going on here, and maybe I'll just speed this up a little bit. Okay, notice it's, filling itself up, it's crafting, everything's great. If I trick this into thinking that we're out of LP in our personal soul network, I mean, we have close to 4 million right now, or is that 4 million? Yeah. So we're good there. But if we pop that guy out, he's going to say, oh, I'm out of LP, I better start making more. It's going to finish its current craft. Okay. And then it's going to go back to popping the, oh, nope. Before I do that, we have to do this and that. Now it'll do yeah. So it's going. So notice we have less than 8 in there. It'll finish its current craft, and then it's going to throw the orb in there, and it's going to keep the orb in there until we have enough LP that the blood altar here emits a redstone signal. So let's simulate that by putting the orb back in. Once we do that, boom. It's going to take the orb out, it's going to wait for the altar to fill up, and then it's going to go back to crafting. How cool is that? Not too shabby. So a smidge more of that. And also, since somebody called it out in the comments, I also chunk loaded the area. So now it'll definitely run all the time. So now all we have to do is get an ender chest. And I think I went with blue, blue, blue. Is that right? Yes. So I'll get some blue dye. And that'll be that. So you're there, and then what I'll do is I'll laser node this up, so that he keeps, you know, X number in there at a time. So we'll throw an insert item card. We'll filter on the input side. We'll say keep 8 ethereal slates in there at all times, right? And then your job will be to extract 8 at a time. So he should be extracting his ethereal slates, no problem. And then he's going to do his thing. Cool. So he's going to keep crafting. When we run out of LP, the redstone signal here will turn off. And it won't be completely out, I think. I hope. I hope it's not completely out. I guess we'll find out. I assume it'll be like when it gets below a certain number, but hopefully we'll see. But it should be a while because that 4 million LP is going to last quite a bit. So now let's get to automating other stuff. So that means that we are now fully automated on ethereal slates, and we will eventually just get more. That's pretty awesome. Oh yeah. Nice. All right, so everything here is pretty good. What I want to do now is, number one, we absolutely have to get balloons better. Balloons is just pathetically not good. Like, this is a horrible thing, and I did a bad job. I'm just putting that out there. Just saying. So what I'm probably going to do is a compact machine for that. However, in the interest of keeping the series moving, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this stuff rolling. And then once we get to the point where everything here is working, then I will circle back and boost up the speed on specifically the balloon one, but then anything else that needs to be faster, right? So let's knock this out, right? So Cosmic Meatballs, let's do that one first. So we're going to need a bunch of raw stuff. So let me see what we got by way of raw. Let's make sure that all of these have EMC set up in them, right? So I'm just going to boom, 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 boom. Now, how many items are in the raw meatballs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what we're going to want is the good EMC link, the one that does, what was it, like the compressed 54 output slots? Okay. And that needs, does it have to be a 9x9 in the, okay, I don't think so. Is it shaped or is it shapeless? I mean, it says 13. So could I do like a 3x4 plus 1, or does it have to be like this? I don't know. But I know we're going to need lots of mechanical crafters, because that's really the only way that I can see to automate any of these recipes, right? We're going to need, you know, a healthy amount of mechanical crafters. So why don't I do this? Let's get, so that says auto-shaped crafting, and this just says mechanical crafting. So I assume that there's a difference, and therefore it's probably not, well, I don't know if it's shapeless or not. It just says mechanical crafting. So we'll try it with this one because it's the smallest. So let me get a very large amount of mechanical crafters. We've got 18 at the moment. I'm going to have to get, you know, a healthy bit more. Oh, pretty good, actually. Not terrible. I could probably get a little bit more brass and make that happen, but that's a decent amount. It's going to be enough at least for the first couple. Yeah, for sure. And then we'll probably need another batch for the next few, but that's a good start. So now here's a question. Are you actually using this? Or could I just use the existing crafters, you think? I guess. The problem is we could try it and see if it comes up. So I'm not sure if we would need dedicated crafters for each of these things or not. We could try it and see if it comes up. If we're fast enough, right? Why are you even... Oh, you're the pattern, right? Yeah. So if we're fast enough for this guy, right? Ignore redstone signal in the crafter mode. We might need to sense when this thing's crafting and block the crafter from running. You know, put in one of those pulse mode dudes like we have for this guy. But we might be able to reuse these, and that might be cool. I'm alright with that. Yeah, because when it pulls, it unlocks it and stays unlocked, right? So we could sense when the inventory's empty, send a single pulse, and then we're cool, maybe? That might be cool. Alright, let's think about that. So I'm going to hold off on the new crafter bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get... so we want to make cosmic meatballs, right? So what I'll do let's make this a craftable item. So to do that, I'm going to pop down here, okay? And we're going to have another external storage. Here, the crafting. And we'll plop down our compressed EMC link. We'll stick this guy here. And just like this one, you are going to be filtered on what's allowed to go in here. So let's make sure you're in a whitelist mode of items. And what did I do with your priority? I kept it at 0? Okay, that's fine, I guess. Should really make you a higher priority, shouldn't I? Yeah, you should have a higher priority for all the items that you've got designated. Okay. That's right, you can only have 9 on the filter. Yeah. Yeah. You know what, we're not putting items in here. So what I could do is instead of being a filter, I could just have extract only. This one I wanted to make sure that we didn't start filling up cobblestone and stone into our discs. But this one I'm not too upset about. We could just have you whitelist. Yeah. So we'll set you to blacklist, but we'll set you to extract only. So that way nothing will ever go in there, right? So if we look at comparators, for example, if I put them in there, they're not going to go in there, right? Even if I make you a high priority. In fact, what I should do is make you a low priority. Because I think what that means is if we have raw chicken of some kind, right, then we would, we'll see what happens. But I think that means it'll take it out of the drawer thing first. So if I do this, right, and we just put all these in here. So what's cool is it actually doesn't turn yellow when you don't know the pattern. So that's neat, actually. I like that. So all we really need to do is we need to get the 2 fish, right? I'm assuming tropical fish I also don't have. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Puffer fish I also probably don't have. Yeah, no. And raw rabbit, raw chicken. Those we do have. So we've got those 5. And then we need rotten flesh, spider eyes, and eggs. So rotten flesh. I don't have that in there? Okay, that's fine. Spider eyes and eggs. Eggs we have. So what I'll do, I'm sure we have spider eyes and rotten flesh over here. Perfect. Should be able to do that. And that. Now we're cool. Okay, good. So then the only other thing we need is the 2 tropical fish. So for a total count, we have 9 plus 3 EMCable, right? So we need 4 of the types of fish. So let's get an automatic fisher. So this guy should work. Marine fisher, pretty sure from foregoing. Wow, we've got 2.2 thousand silverfish heart. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. And then we want our add-ons, right? Let's make sure that we have 1 of each of the good ones. You, and you. And if we plopped that over here, do you think this would be a good spot? Because I'm pretty sure this should work. Yes. Raw cod, raw salmon. Ha! You get nautilus shells from this. Remember I wanted those back in the day? That's funny. Now I just need tropical fish, right? Hopefully I'll get some eventually. I wonder if this is biome specific or if it's just totally whatever. I honestly don't know. Only thing I'm noticing is I'm not getting much by way of... Oh, there we go, tropical fish. Now we're cool. Nah, we're cool. Let's get a giant chest. Like one of these dudes, right? Turn you into gold. Turn you into diamond. I mean, obsidian's not bigger, is it? I think that just makes it so that it's... we could do alchemical. That's right. We could do alchemical chest. Those are pretty big, as I remember. Do I not have any in here? What I'll do is I'll just let this fill up an alchemical chest by output on the right push. That's west, right? Is that right? That's north. Oh, okay. I guess that's the front for some reason that I don't know the answer to. But it works. So that'll be cool. So we'll let that fill up, and you can just get a bunch of junk, and then we'll figure that out. We'll see if there's anything in there that we need. Meanwhile, I should be able to go put my fish. Now, can I place these in here or what? I guess I can. Cool. And that was the raw salmon. Okay, good. So now we've got all the things that we need, along with neutronium nuggets. So now, what I'm going to do is set up a crafter for this. And what we're going to say is that the cosmic meatballs goes there. And that is pretty slick. That is pretty slick. And then we can stick this in here. Yay, I got a stick. And then we just stick our meatballs along, you know, the recipe all the way up there. So what I'm going to do is, real quick, grab a screenshot of this. And then on the opposite side, we will add things to the list, right? So I think the first one looks like a pork chop. So you're going to allow pork chop, right? And then on the opposite side, you're going to allow, that looks like beef. Then on the opposite side, you're going to allow mutton. You're going to allow salmon. You're going to allow... This should be salmon. This one should be cod. So that's salmon. This one's going to be pufferfish. Right? No, tropical fish. This one's going to be pufferfish. This one's going to be rabbit. And then this one's going to be chicken. And then over here, we'll have rotten flesh. Over here can be eyeballs. Oh, you don't have an insert? Oh, my bad. Well, to be fair, that makes sense, because not all of them needed inserts, right? So we're going to want to make sure that we have filters on us. And then on the east, you will get an insert with a filter. And then you're going to get your eyes. Okay. So that's east, white, insert. It doesn't matter what side. Yeah, that all looks good. Cool. And then this guy is going to get the egg. East, egg. And then this guy will get the neutronium nugget. And then the theory is, if we... I guess the only problem would be is if any recipes overlapped. But it shouldn't matter. We'll see. So now if I said I wanted a cosmic meatball, and hit start, and then press the button, that's working, right? We just need to figure out a way to automatically push that button. That's what I need to do. We could sense if there's anything in here. And if there is, put a redstone signal. Or we could sense items in here, because we can assume that when the items land in the barrel, they should quickly make their way into here, right? Because I forget what your extraction looks like, but it should be fast. Let's see, you're at north space, so that's 64 per tick. So if we put in neutronium compressor, kind of quick. Let's see that one more time. Yeah, that was super fast, right? So it should do it all at once. Now, in fairness, I think it's doing one stack at a time. So we want to give it a little bit of a delay. So what we could do is we could sense that there's an item in the barrel, right, of anything. And so what do we got by way of sensors or detectors? I think RF Tools has some kind of storage sensor. I'm just wondering if it runs, like, every tick. Because that's to run super fast. Do comparators run every tick? You know, comparator would work. Because even with one item in there, it should work, right? Comparators run every tick? And, well, actually, would even one item work? I don't think it does. Yeah. Oh, no, it does. It seems pretty instant, right? So what we could do is we could let that read. Now if I put a repeater here, even with one item in there, yes, we're cool. Right, we get a full strength redstone signal instantly. Pretty instantly. The repeater here is a delay, but we want a delay. Because what we want to have is we want to give it a long enough delay that once the item goes in, it delay, and then signal. Okay? So what we're going to want is probably multiple repeaters. Are repeaters in here? They are now. Comparators too, by the way. And I think you can give a redstone signal to any crafter and you should be good, right? So let's watch now. Cosmic Meatballs. Start. Hey, that's kind of working, right? Now, can I craft like 10 at a time? That's the question. So because you have an item in there, we need to pulse this like every so often. Right? So we're going to want a timer of some kind. Does the timer let me run when there is a redstone signal, or only stop when there's a redstone signal? Pause when redstone is active. That's not what we want. So then what we want is the, what's it called again? I always forget the name of things. Timer, logic, sequencer. Yeah, that one. Sequencer. And what we'll have is, you will do this. We'll do 18, right? Because are there 8 or 9 of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we'll do 16. That's what's written there. And when a redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once. All the time, ignore. Loop the cycle all the time. Restart on redstone pulse. Loop the cycle when redstone is present. Restart on no signal. Okay, that should work. So what it should do is it should be on for 8 ticks and off for 8 ticks. So if I put that guy here, That should be cool. And that should be alright, right? No, because now our problem is that we're pulsing too fast. See, it's going to pulse when not a valid thing is there, so that's not good. That's not good at all. So we need to sense when all the items are in position if we really want this to be right. Let me think about that challenge for a minute. So what we could do, okay, y'all are going to hate this because I'm going to use Laser IO again. But Laser IO might solve this problem. Okay, what we could do, instead of everything I just set up, this is where Neutronium Nugget goes in, right? So what we could do, on the east Neutronium Nugget, right? What if we threw a sensor card in there for Neutronium Nuggets, and you're going to sense on, doesn't really matter, how about the orange channel, channel 1? I don't think I'm using that anywhere. Right? And when you have an orange signal, I mean, I could just very easily pulse it here. Right? So what I would just have to do is say, hey, you output on orange a weak signal. And that should be it. Right? So once there's a Neutronium Nugget in there, it'll sense it and then trigger the redstone signal. But only a Neutronium Nugget. Because for the Cosmic Meatballs, that's where Neutronium Nuggets go. And then the same for the other thing. We would sense it down here. So let me get more cards. This is pretty cool. Right? So this should be going. I just don't love how far it has to go. I'm actually curious if I can put them on the bottom, would it be faster, you think? Possible. I don't know, actually, if they were on the bottom, if it would be faster. I don't know how Create does that. I might move them to the bottom real quick just to see what happens. So are we satisfied with our meatballs? Yes. So then for Neutronium, what we'd do is on the opposite side of you, you're inside inserting an iron block, right? So we would have a sensor here for iron blocks that emits on the orange channel, right? So now there's no orange signal going on, right? But as soon as we say we want a Neutronium, as soon as there's iron in there, see the signal turned on? And it auto-crafted. Hey, that's kind of cool, right? Like that. Hey, what happened to you? Did you put that in last? Is that what happened? Yeah, that's what happened, isn't it? So let's remove this for a sec. So since we know that the Neutronium goes in last, probably because if we look at the pattern on this guy, we'll see that Neutronium block is the bottom one. So that tells me that it's likely that that's the last thing to go in, right? So, is there anything else we missed here? The hoppers, maybe? We good and ready to craft this now? I guess so. So Neutronium block should be what we sense, not... So that's roughly the center one. Is that this guy? This guy? Yes, that's Neutronium block. So since that's the last item to go in, that's what will trigger our sensor on. So when you have a Neutronium block, emit on orange. Cool. And that should work. Excellent. All right, so that's how we'll play it, right? Whatever the last item is on the list of ingredients is what we sense for. Because I'm assuming what happens is refined storage is probably putting them into the barrel in the order that we give them. So that's the last item to make its way into the crafters, right? So that should work. All right, so now one more thing I want to test is I want to move all those items to the bottom and see if that's cool. Number one, will it craft? And number two, is it faster? Because, you know, I want to be able to optimize speed. So real quick, I'm just going to move this guy. Raw pork chop comes out, and then down here on the east, raw pork chop goes in. This is going to take a minute, so I'll be right back. All right, let's test that real quick. So now if I request meatballs times 4, let's say. It still has to do that thing. So it doesn't hurt, it's not slower, but it's also not faster, so therefore I'm going to leave it like that, because lazy dyer is lazy. I'm not going to redo all that. But that looks pretty good, right? So that's Cosmic Meatballs taken care of. Ultimate Stew, probably going to be a little bit more painful. That one looks like a complicated mess of complicatedness. You know, some of these have EMC, obviously, like the top batch, I assume all do. However, once we get... Well, some of these actually have... So there's some. There's one without. That one does. Some of these do. Some of them don't. So there's going to be a healthy amount of automating a lot of these guys. That's a long list of stuff to automate. I'm debating how much of this I'm going to do on camera versus not. Ooh, source berries have an EMC. Blaze cakes need to be automated via create. Oof, that's going to be a painful one. The Ultimate Stew is going to hurt a little bit. Endus Pearl, easy, right? That one will take moments. Infinity Ingot, also pretty easy. Will only take a few moments. Obviously, we're going to need Infinity Catalysts to do that. So right now, we've got pretty much everything here good, except for the Endus Pearl and the Ultimate Stew. So let's do this. Let's wrap up the episode here. I'm going to look at the Ultimate Stew and start planning out how I'm going to automate, you know, the non-EMC food like this, right? So you can be made in here, automated shapeless crafting, or just a regular crafting table. Are all these just regular crafting? It's not so bad. So I'm assuming that, so some of them do require a Farmer's Delight cooking process. Okay. So some of them are cooking. Some of them are just crafting. So we're going to have to figure out how this cooking pot gets automated. And we're going to have to feed bowls in there. It looks like it needs some kind of heat source. Okay. Alright, so for now, Adult20 sign off. Let's look into Farmer's Delight next episode, figure out how to automate it. We'll come back next time to get that going. For now, Adult20 sign off. Take it easy.